We have to acknowledge that there are inherent risks to drilling 4 miles beneath the surface of the earth. And these are risks that are bound to increase the harder oil extraction becomes.
No, that wasn't a reference to political risks, but President Obama will be there in the region again tomorrow to see those firsthand, too.
And for those counting at home, that is trip number 3 to the region. Top Line begins right now.
Hello and welcome to ABC News Washington Post Top Line. I'm Rick Klein.
And I'm Jonathan Carl.
Every day at noon Eastern, we're right here to bring you the latest political news and analysis, and we try to be perfect every time. We leave that to you, the umpires at home. It's twitter.com/thenote. If we can record a perfect show, I will be a happy man.
Try myself. Well, the first Top Line then, Sestak 2, another Senate candidate, another job offer. Well, the White House says it wasn't exactly a job offer, but Andrew Romanoff, who the White House wanted out of that Democratic primary in Colorado for Senate, now reveals that he was talked to by Jim Messina, the Deputy Chief of Staff, about 3 potential jobs in the Obama administration should he decide not to run for Senate. Of course, he turned them all down, just like Sestak did, but it doesn't look good.
That's the other side of this, is that the White House it's not working. They're trying to get
better jobs.
That's right. They're offering these things out there, which is a political embarrassment.
These are actually paid jobs.
Paid jobs, exactly. And what's great about this email is that Jim Messina actually lays out how much budget he gets to control. And
how many people he gets to boss around, the whole works.
You get to be. Friendly chat, or maybe not so much. Governor Jan Brewer, the governor of Arizona, is at the White House today to meet with President Obama, and the press coverage is like a Netanyahu visit, which is to say none at all. We know, obviously, the main topic of discussion is going to be this Arizona immigration law. The White House is still preparing, or the Justice Department preparing a formal response to this. Yep. Jan Brewer, though, unapologetic, says bring it on. We want to see these federal challenges because we think we're in the right here.
And upset that the White House has been misrepresenting the law in her view. But I hope, one thing that comes up, they're going to talk about border security. Arguably the most secure border in memory was the East German, West Germany border. You had 50 guards per square mile, and yet you had 1,000 people a year, roughly, that crossed every year. So there you go. Anyway, the next up, Blago is back. The trial of disgraced former Illinois governor, I think that's kind of his title now, Rod Blagojevich begins today. And Rick, this is going to be an uncomfortable one for a lot of people. I mean, you have the prospects, you have the subpoena for Rahm Emanuel, the prospects of Valerie Jarrett potentially testifying in this, and you have 500 hours of conversations that have been recorded of Blagojevich. And in each one of those, there was somebody else on the other line.
That's a good point. And a defendant in this case who literally has nothing else to lose. He's lost his job. He's lost his reputation. All he can do is throw out names. This is Chicago politics at its worst for the Obama White House. They're going to be stuck in this muck all summer long.
Right to the election.
That's right. And finally, staying in Illinois, Kirk's credentials, shifting explanations for how Mark Kirk and his campaign learned about the misrepresentations on his resume regarding military service to continue to dog his campaign. It has become even more of an issue for him than it was for Blumenthal, even though his exaggerations, I think you can agree, are not nearly as bad as Dick Blumenthal's. This is just a real problem for them. Illinois is a bright spot for Republicans, a good possibility, and he may be hurting his own chances.
And lost in all this is the fact that the guy actually has a distinguished record in the military, so the exaggerations are meaningless. The best thing he has going for him, though, Blagojevich.
That's right, Blago.
Who's talking about this anymore in Illinois?
Right. It's a better Chicago story. We're actually going to start out in Nevada, where a big primary is on tap for Tuesday. We're joined now by Danny Tarkanian, Republican candidate for Senate, hoping to beat Harry Reid in the fall if he gets past the primary. And I want to start, Mr. Tarkanian, with the landscape right now. There's been some recent polling out there that showed both you and Sue Loudon the stronger choices for Republicans versus Sharon Angle. I'm curious your take on that. Can Sharon Angle beat Harry Reid if she's the nominee?
Harry Reid's going to have a hard time winning any election in November. However, Sharon has a very strong and passionate base, but it's a much more limited base than either I or Sue would have. The problem with Sue's campaign in arguing that she's the most viable candidate against Reid is we have seen how her campaign has handled the different attacks and scrutiny Reid's campaign has put forth against her these past 2 months, and her campaign has shown they're not prepared to run against Reid. I believe I have the best chance to beat Reid in the general election. All of the positives to less the unfavorables show that I am the strongest candidate in that regards, and I believe I can stand up to Harry Reid and to take the attacks he's going to throw at me.
All right, before we get to that, though, just coming back to Sharon Angle, because it looks from afar like you've got a situation where you effectively have another Tea Party candidate who may well win a Republican nomination, echoes of Kentucky. How problematic would she be? I mean, and what makes her, why are Republicans that we're talking to here in Washington so worried about the possibility that she'd win?
Well, first of all, you say she's a Tea Party candidate, and that's not necessarily the case. She has a Tea Party Express, which is a California-based consulting group that has come out and endorsed her and has run a lot of TV time and radio time, upwards to $1 million on them. However, the Tea Party of Nevada, the National Tea Party Organization, they have come out and repudiated that endorsement, and they have stayed neutral in the race. There's a lot of Tea Party people, supporters on my campaign, that are out there supporting me and getting other people to get behind my campaign and vote for me. We feel very strongly that we're going to have a strong presence from the Tea Party of Nevada here, and they're going to vote for me.
Actually, Glenn Beck has called you a Tea Party radical, and this is a label that you like. You put this in a radio ad.
Sure.
I'm curious as to what that means. We saw what that meant with Rand Paul. Go ahead. Go ahead. What does it mean to be a Tea Party radical?
If you watched the show that he had on, what Glenn Beck was saying, look at the common sense things these candidates have said. I was included with Mark Rubio and several others, where we made just basic common sense statements that the vast majority of Americans agree with, but the liberal media has taken them to be like crazy and radical statements. And they're saying we got to get back to the common sense principles that made our country the greatest country in the history of society. And I'm one of those crazy radicals, according to the far left media, that has that common sense views.
Well, one of the things that of course, Rand Paul was hit on was the Civil Rights Act. So did he get unfairly hit on that? I mean, did he have a point about overreach in the Civil Rights Act?
I didn't see the interview, but I certainly would not have agreed with the statement that the Civil Rights Act should not apply to private businesses. In fact, I was asked that question by Politico, and I said absolutely should apply to it. Now, Sue Loudon was on one of the debates with John Ralston, and he asked her that comment, and she wouldn't answer it. It's a simple answer, of course. We had racial discrimination in the private businesses, and all people in America should be treated equal.
I want to ask you, because Governor Brewer of Arizona is at the White House today. You've expressed some support for the Arizona immigration law. Is this, in your mind, the template? Should other states be doing exactly what Arizona did?
Arizona did pass a law because they had to, based upon the crime that was being committed by illegal immigrants coming into their state, and they had to protect the health and safety of their citizens. Unfortunately, they had to take those acts because the federal legislators have failed in their responsibility to first protect the borders and turn the tide of illegal immigration. What I focused my campaign on is saying, how can we resolve the illegal immigration problem? First and foremost, protect the borders like all Republicans will state. But second of all, take away the taxpayer incentives that were provided people who come here illegally. If we go after the employers who hire the illegal immigrants and make them pay a higher price, and then deny taxpayer benefits, health care, welfare, and education, the illegal immigrants won't come into our country, and the ones that are here will leave on their own, or at least a vast majority of them will. We need a federal answer to this, though.
All right, so I can't let you go without asking you about the chickens for checkups.
Yes.
Obviously, Sue Loudon made this statement about bartering for services, including, there was a time you could barter a chicken for a doctor's visit. Has this been what's tanked her campaign?
She's done two major gaffes. The first was the chicken for bartering comments, and it wasn't just the first one she made. She was asked it a second time, and she said, I'm going to dig my heels into the ground. This is a system that has worked. And then her second mistake she's made has been where she accepted an RV bus worth over $100,000, and she's failed to pay for it. She's had different answers on all of these, and she's been exposed as not being completely honest on that issue. Those two issues, I believe, have shown that her campaign's not prepared to run against a guy like Harry Reid.
How much of a whiff would it be if Republicans don't take advantage of Reid's vulnerability this year? How disappointing would that be to you?
Yeah. It'd be devastating. It'd be absolutely devastating. But I really mean this. Our internal polls show that myself and Sharon Angle are in a dead heat, and Sue Loudon has dropped quite a bit of ways. It's going to come down to the two of us. And I believe when people go to the polls and they look, the issues that I'm running on, I'm talking about positive issues that can help the people of Nevada and our country. I'm not into this inner fighting, trying to tear down each opponent like Sue Loudon and Sharon Angle are. That I'm going to get the last bit of undecideds to vote my way, and I'm going to win this primary. And when I win this primary, I fully believe I'm going to beat Reid in the general election.
All right, Danny Tarkanian, Republican of Nevada, running for Senate. Good luck on Tuesday, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.